What's up, traders? It's been a little while here. We're going to be checking in on Binance coin. We're checking in on the crypto market these past couple of videos because I do think that we're at a key inflection point in some of the major coins. Obviously, we're no longer really interested in almost anything else on this list here, but Binance coin is coming into an interesting zone, and hopefully we can see why. This is the weekly time frame chart first. You can see we are on the weekly time frame chart, and of course, we are looking at a ascending triangle, which is pushing up into the bottom end of overhead supply. You can see prior support, turn to resistance, 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 resistance. As we say around here in the Trade Brigade, the more times you knock on the door in short proximity of time, the more likely it is that someone will open that door and you can see a move in that direction. So with the higher lows coming into this zone, I do think we're dealing with a bullish structure underneath us. This is trying to form a bit of a base. The question obviously becomes, can we get over this key weekly zone right around here at 344 in Binance coin? Of course, you can draw in your support trend line if that helps you visualize the pattern, but it doesn't look to be immediately in play in the next couple of trading days, noting that we're pushing into the area of resistance. Now, if we do get a break into range, you can see that this would be the next major contender around 450 per coin in Binance coin. So with the weekly chart covered, let's have a look at our daily time frame and get a little bit more nuanced in terms of the pattern that's unfolding here. So as we mentioned on the weekly, the more times you test a level in short proximity of time, the more likely it is that that level actually ends up breaking and giving way in the upward direction. So there's a couple of things that could unfold here. I would not recommend looking for a long just yet. Look at the upper wick rejecting that 344-ish area, 345. Instead, any higher low pullbacks are sort of buyable as long as we produce something that finds support above our last major pivot down here, which we'll throw on the chart together at 318. So any higher low pullbacks in this range are looking good. What do you want to look for in this area? It's not always going to happen in a picture perfect way, but if it were to be textbook, we would get some sort of hammer candle down here. You could even go on down to an hourly time frame chart, for example, and start scouting for any type of double bottom that forms down here, inverted head and shoulders that forms down here, any indications on a potentially smaller time frame like the hourly that would show you a higher low is developing would look bullish. You could try to enter on that pattern. Of course, in this instance, it would be long over the neckline, and then we retarget this, we trim some here, and then we're optimistic about a break for all of the reasons that we just discussed on the weekly time frame chart. Again, really, it's the tests in short proximity of time that would make it attractive that eventually this level will break in the upward direction. Now, you might be saying, well, Matt, what about this in here? Let's just remember that technical analysis, although sometimes we can be very, very precise with our levels, it's never to the tick, to the penny every single time. So yes, there was a strong reaction off of this, but the question I would then pose to you is, if we're going to remain in an uptrend, what must be true? Well, we need to stay in an uptrend by finding a higher low, and we need to avoid finding a lower low. So again, posing that question, did we remain in an uptrend? Did we find some kind of higher low? The answer is 100% yes. So once again, am I concerned with this rejection off of 344? You know, it's not the most confidence-inspiring look to see large red-bodied bars like that, but for the most part, the bears didn't gain any progress in the downward direction. We found ourselves a higher low. The uptrend remains intact. The next step is to potentially find another higher low and then break. And of course, this ushers in the next and last potential question. All right, let's say we don't ultimately pull back. Let's say this thing does break. As we just pointed out, we're dealing with a little bit of an inverted hammer that's forming right now. This is not the most confidence-inspiring look. So if there's no higher low pullback for you to enter on here, this ship has sailed, right? If we just break, what's the next step? Well, okay, if we just found ourselves a brand new higher high, again, think back to logical questioning. If we're going to remain in an uptrend, if this breakout is going to hold, what should happen? Well, we should find a higher low once again. And where does that higher low want to form? Above 345. Above the breakout point here, confirm what was once prior resistance, resistance, resistance as newfound support, and then we'll start to move in the upward direction, or we should start thinking in the upward direction about that weekly target we were just looking for at 450. Now, if we do break down and do not find a higher low in between this range right here, if we do something that looks like this, you guys know the deal. Then perhaps this is a double top and we have broken underneath the neckline, which has ushered in a brand new lower low. And from a trend following perspective, if we find the lower low after a double top equal high, we should be looking for continuation, and a target would become the weekly trend line that we saw on the higher time frame. So it's a pretty comprehensive look, I would say, at BNB right now on some of the higher time frames, weekly and daily. I don't really think that these things are worth participating coming in for short-term scalping any longer now that the volatility has sort of been sucked out of them. But for the most part, these higher time frame patterns are certainly in play. So that's what I've got for you. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, let me know in the comment section or by giving the video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.